Hello YouTube! Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, please consider joining my family by subscribing. And if you are returning, I hope your serotonin levels are boosting right now. So this week's video, I'm taking it back. I'm going back to my roots. My first video on this channel was a tier maker video. And so that's what I'm doing. I am an avid rom-com watcher. So I'm sorry if I didn't get to include everything because there are so many, but I tried to include good ones. So I'm going to be ranking them today. Okay, so I am going to be reading the tiers to you guys now. So at the bottom we have the worst. Then above it we have crappy, which is like sometimes you're in a mood to watch a crappy rom-com just to watch it. Then we have decent. Then we have enjoyable, and lastly at the very top we have iconic. So let's go ahead and get started. I have like over 30 rom-coms in here. I really went ham this time. So we really need to get it going. I'm going to start with 13 going on 30. Now, I have watched this movie probably 3 or 4 times, and it's really entertaining, and I love it, and Mark Ruffalo's in it. So just for that, it's not iconic for me personally, so I'm probably gonna put it in enjoyable. Okay, next we have 2 Weeks Notice, which I've only watched once, but I do remember it being really good, and Sandra Bullock is fantastic in everything she does. I love her. I'm probably gonna have to put this in decent because I don't remember it this well. Okay, this is my all-time favorite movie. It's tied with another one on here, but it's already going in iconic. 10 Things I Hate About You is my favorite movie of all time. It's fantastic. I just love it so much. And the soundtrack, I love it. It really fits my personality. It probably shaped me into who I am today. And it's been my favorite movie since the 8th grade. Okay, next we have an Adam Sandler movie. We have 50 First Dates. I think it was a sweet movie, how he recorded everything, you know, and she had to watch it every morning because she had the short-term memory loss. So I'd put this in decent. So next I have 500 Days of Summer. And I'm gonna have to put this in, I'm sorry, like, I don't like this movie. A lot of people stand by this movie, but I don't like this movie. It's definitely not the worst for me, but I'm gonna have to put it in crappy. I'm sorry to all the fans of this movie. I just do not like it. It's too depressing for me. Next we have Bring It On. And I'm gonna take this with a grain of salt because I didn't put like the separate Bring It On movies. So I'm gonna take this as the series. And I love the Bring It On series, but there's a lot of questionable things going on in those movies. And from what I've heard, they're not very accurate to competition cheer. So even though they are iconic in my mind, I'm gonna have to say enjoyable. So next we have Clueless. And you obviously know it is up there with 10 Things I Hate About You. This movie is like God tier. I love it. And can we talk about how Paul Rudd doesn't age? We're not gonna talk about how they were step-siblings. We're not gonna talk about that. Step-bro, what are you doing? Okay, next we have Crazy Rich Asians, which I've only watched once, but I thought it was really good. And also the Asian representation that came because of that movie getting such a high rating and being so fantastic just in cinema, like after it came out, is so deserving. I feel like I haven't watched it enough to put it in iconic, so I'm just gonna put it in enjoyable, but if I watched it a few more times, it would be in iconic. Okay, so next we have Dirty Dancing. It's more of a romantic drama, but I think there are so many iconic funny lines in there, like no one puts baby in a corner. And I watch it like every month, so we're gonna have to put it in iconic. Next we have Enchanted, which I know a lot of people love, but I'm sorry, I find her so annoying. I don't know, I just find her so annoying for some reason. Like, it's a pretty good movie. Y'all are gonna be mad at me for this, but I'm gonna have to put it in decent. As far as rom-coms go, it's not that great. Okay, now we have Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I think I've seen it twice. This movie is hilarious. I love the Dracula, like, musical. That is my favorite scene in that entire movie. And the actors are really good in that movie as well. I love this setting. So I'd have to put this in enjoyable. The next is How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I love this movie. I really love this movie. It's so good. Matthew McConaughey, however you want to say it, does a great job. And I love that sort of like opposites attract thing. Honestly, this has got to go in iconic because I love this movie so much. Okay, next we have Juno, which I really like this movie and it gets a lot of praise. It deals with teen pregnancy, which was kind of a taboo subject when it came out. And I think they did a fantastic job with this movie. I'll put it in enjoyable. Okay, next we have La La Land. Okay. Don't get me wrong, like, I love the soundtrack and everything, but again, like 500 Days of Summer, the ending's kind of off-putting. I'm a sucker for a happy ending, and that's just not how it is, and, like, that's truly how life is, but that's not how I want the fake life to be when I'm watching a movie. I'm gonna put it in crappy? I'm sorry. Okay, next we have Legally Blonde. You already know where it's going. It's going in iconic. And it's so good. I love Jennifer Coolidge.
Oh my God. You look like the 4th of July.
Okay, so next we have Love Actually. This is my dad's favorite movie. I swear to you, this is his favorite movie. He loves Alan Rickman. I love this song in this movie. I would, you know, jam out to it right now, but I think I would get copyrighted for that. But this movie is really funny, and it has so many stories, and it's, you know, some movies like that are hard to follow, but I don't think that's the case with this one. So I'm gonna put this in enjoyable. It's not iconic to me, but it's enjoyable. Okay, next we have Love, Simon, and this was another, like, innovative movie, I guess you could say. There still aren't enough romantic comedies for members of the LGBTQ community. So this movie really did that. However, I've seen a lot of reviews and I've like actually watched it twice. And you know, you love Simon, pun intended, but his friends are just so terrible to him once he comes out. So I'd say enjoyable just because I hate his friends. Okay, next we have Miss Congeniality, which is another Sandra Bullock movie. I love this movie to pieces. I don't know what it is about beauty pageant movies for me or shows. I just get so into them. And, you know, the fact that she is like an undercover agent and everything, and she just denounces the whole beauty pageant thing. Now you can see it's really changing, and this movie really shows that these women are smart and they're capable of so many things. It's a very empowering movie, and it's also funny. So this is going in iconic, of course. Okay, next is music and lyrics, and I've only seen this once, I think. Me being a music lover, I do appreciate this movie a lot. Her personality is very quirky, if you will. So I'm probably gonna put this in decent. Okay, next is My Big Fat Greek Wedding. My family loves this movie. I don't know exactly why, but it is pretty good. Her family is a lot. So I'm probably gonna put this in iconic. I love that movie. Okay, next is Pretty in Pink. And I haven't watched this as much as any other like 80s Molly Ringwald movie. However, it is very good. So I'm gonna put it in decent. Alright, we're back to it. And we are starting with Pretty Woman. My grandma loves this movie for some reason. I've watched it with my grandma like twice. So, just for her. Also, can we just normalize respecting sex workers, please? They're just trying to earn a living, and it's their body, so they can decide what to do with it. Anyway, we're gonna put this in enjoyable. So, next we have She's All That with Freddie Prinze Jr. This movie is so good for what? And it's to the point where it's almost like cringy a little bit. I'm pretty sure this is the movie with the hacky sack art exhibit thing, if you know what I'm talking about. And it's really funny, and I really need to rewatch this movie. So I'm gonna put this in enjoyable as well. Okay, next we have Silver Linings Playbook. And this is one of my mom and dad's favorite movies. It's very good. I love Jennifer Lawrence's performance in it. And their chemistry is really great in this movie. And it's a dancing movie, kind of inspired by Dirty Dancing. And it, shows their problems and their journey to falling in love with each other. So I'm gonna put this in enjoyable as well. Next we have 16 Candles. This is the Molly Ringwald movie I was talking about that I've seen a lot. So this movie is really funny, and I think it's really enjoyable. I don't know so much about realistic, because girl, how she snatched that man? Give me some tips, Molly Ringwald. So I'm gonna put it in iconic. It feels very close to like a high school experience. It's definitely racist with the foreign exchange student. Well, looking past that, the movie's really good. They really didn't need to include that. People were making those jokes at the time, which isn't acceptable. Okay, next we have Strictly Ballroom, which I recently watched actually because it was similar. It was like the Australian version of Dirty Dancing, and it wasn't as good for me. Like, it was supposed to be funny, but none of the jokes landed, really, for me. I didn't think it was that good. So I'm gonna have to put this in crappy. I didn't like it. Okay, next we have The 40-Year-Old Virgin with Steve Carell. Alright, so his role in this movie really, defined his brand of comedy. I believe this was before The Office, and this is what, landed him the role. This movie is really funny. I think it could be relatable to a lot of people, but at the end of the day, the message is, hey, you don't need to change yourself for someone to fall in love with you. So I'm gonna put this in decent. Okay, next we have The Edge of 17 with Haley Steinfeld. This is what I was talking about. This is one of my favorite movies, right up there with 10 Things I Hate About You. I really love this movie. It has a sadistic comedy element to it. Woody Harrelson is hilarious in this movie as her teacher. It's such dry, self-deprecating humor, and I really love this movie so much. So I'm gonna put it in iconic. I would totally recommend you watch it if you haven't. I know a lot of people haven't even seen it, and I think it's very underrated. Okay, so next we have The Holiday, and I really like this movie. I think seeing Jack Black in a romantic movie was very weird for me, but I think he did a really good job. So I'm gonna put this in decent. Okay, so next we have everyone's favorite infamous Netflix original movie, The Kissing Booth. So before we, move this into the category where it belongs, you already know where it belongs. Let's just talk. The first time I watched this movie was when it came out. It was right after it came out. And I honestly liked it upon first watching it. And then the second time I watched it, I, really honed into all the mistakes the movie has and how cringy it is. I'm not getting into the second one because the second one... However, this first one was definitely better than the second one. Because of the anger issues and kind of abusive behavior kind of leading into that, I think we're gonna have to put this in the worst. That's where it belongs. Okay, next we have The Princess Bride, which is an all-time favorite of mine. I think it's really funny, still. And there are so many iconic lines from it. I love the officiate, is that what it's called? For the wedding. Love, true love.
Love, true love.
So I'm gonna put this in iconic, honestly, it's really good for me. The Ugly Truth. This movie is very similar to How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days for me. And I watched How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days like first, so it might just be that. However, I think it's still a pretty good movie and it's really funny. I'm gonna put this in decent. Okay, next we have To All the Boys I've Loved Before, which is another Netflix original. I figured I would include a few in here. I honestly, I liked this movie, and this is when the Noah Centineo phase started, and now we don't talk about Noah Centineo. But, you know, I think he plays the same character in everything he does, so that's part of it. But I think, you know, this movie, his role for that was perfect. I love their chemistry, and the fashion in this movie is fantastic. The score is pretty good. Also, I think the cinematography is beautiful, the color scheme. So I am gonna put this in enjoyable because I actually really liked it and I've watched it quite a few times. Okay, next we have While You Were Sleeping. I think I've only seen this once or twice. I think it's okay, but it's kind of awkward because the guy was in a coma, and then when he wakes up, like I can't remember if it's his girlfriend or his fiance, is just like in love with some other guy. So that's kind of sad to me. So I'm gonna put it in decent because it was still good, but it wasn't up my alley. Okay, so this is the completed tier list. Let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with me on this ranking and what you would change, and just let me know what other videos you want from me. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought. All of my social media will be in the description box below and also in my outro, and I will see you guys next week.
Hey, what's your name?